Welcome to Facing the Crowd, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Welcome.
Everybody that has listened to the last episode, Steve Lewis, former CEO of Virgin Records, and it was a great insight into all things in the music industry. And please go back and listen to any other episode that's on. There's loads of interesting ones. Subscribe. This is what we don't actually say. Subscribe, everybody. Please subscribe.
Indeed.
Everyone can do that.
Yeah.
And we don't address you normally, but we know you're there because we see how many listens we've had, and we are eternally thankful. That's all I've got to say from Perks.
Indeed.
And subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe.
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 Please.
Thank you.
I think we're in action.
I think we are.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Gizz, bud. Welcome to Facing the Crowd podcast. I'm Perks. This is Hobo.
You got a big smile.
Unless I'm very much mistaken, you have some kind of Les Paul under your arm.
Oh, let me just get rid of that.
No. Give us a song.
Well, I was just about to play. What was I going for? You probably won't know it. Do you know that track? No?
Mate, that was wicked. That was a great riff. What was the song?
Eye of Shaman.
Oh, okay.
Eye of Shaman.
Yeah, it's on the Where Legend Began album. There's a guy from the States that he just is so obsessive about that stuff. I teach him it. So
Right, okay.
I have
Right.
to learn it.
That was a great intro.
Yeah.
You just started playing the Les Paul.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, is it loud enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wicked.
How's that?
Nice.
You could use that as your next jingle.
I like it.
I could copy and paste that and jingle that at the end. I might. Don't tempt me.
How you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Excellent.
Okay.
Well, first of all, we'd like to congratulate you on Face Your Biggest Fear. We've had that one on play.
Have you?
Yeah, it's a great album, man. Great album. So we were wondering, what is your biggest fear?
Well, I used to be very scared of spiders, but I've got over that one.
Right.
So I guess I faced it.
Did you?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was shit scared of spiders, to the point where if I thought that there was one in the room, I would get hysterical, But then I guess when I got my own house and then when spiders came into it, I thought, well, you're in my house.
Was guitar the first instrument you picked up, or?
Oh, well, I played the drums when I was 6. But I think what really started it off was just hearing the intro of Revolution by the Beatles. Just it's just basically a Chuck Berry kind of thing. Just something like that. It's just very, very basic. But it was the fuzzbox sound of it.
Yeah.
So I think that made me want to pick one up. But then the difficulty is, what do you do when you pick it up, And I remember just kind of like my brother had a guitar around the house, and I was just sort of like messing around with it, and just doing that, or trying to pull out the melody of She Loves You, just the melody of it. And then later on, I got a guitar for my birthday. It was a little while afterwards. I started just I didn't know how to play a chord, and I was trying to play chords like this, like that kind of thing. And I was literally doing it all by ear. I didn't know any chord shapes. And then my dad bought me a chord book, and then the chord A came through, so I just started playing. and then from that, I guess I learned a load of rock and roll stuff, just like Eddie Cochran things. I mean, and then finally got onto playing some punk. You know, probably the first punk song I ever played was probably "Pretty Bacon." You know, it's that intro, you know. Well, I could already play the A chord, so I was halfway there. But it was actually, punk was, for the guitarist I was then, was still very sophisticated, really, for what, you know, because really, if you think about it, you know, all that stuff. It's still very sophisticated when really all you know is, you know, that's all you know.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah.
But it was still very sophisticated at the time.
I read that you think that "Holidays in the Sun" is the best song ever. Is that true? Or the best punk song? Or...
Well, there's other things. Why is there not a lot love?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everything about that is so kind of, it just makes you feel good.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it was a brilliant album, isn't it? You know,
Sam, I think you're going to have to get your guitar and plug it in and have a jam with Gizz over Zoom.
There's going to be a lag.
This is...
Yeah, there'd be a lag.
There will be a lag.
Yeah, it would be very confusing.
So Steve was talking about that program last week, wasn't he, on the podcast, where there's no lag?
Yeah.
What was it again? I can't remember what it was.
Well, I mean, we could try, you know, I could play a riff and then you could echo it back. You know, we could just have fun doing that. Not playing together, but kind of playing like an echo of each other.
It's all good, man. It's all good. So, as a guitarist, who are your 5 biggest heroes or influences, would you say?
Okay, well, Van Halen's at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, because simple, it's nothing to do with the tapping. It's not the tapping. The tapping's great, but it's all the other stuff that he does. I mean, to me, the tapping is literally just one thing that he does.
Yeah.
It's everything else. You know, it's that guy's, the energy that guy's got is just, he always sounds like he's 18 years old, you know. So he always... It's the way he does that kind of what's it now? That riff is just great. Those riffs are the ones I really like.
Yeah.
So he's got this little trick where he always goes. So instead of just going, instead of just doing that, he goes. It's just so windy. I really love it. Yeah, and he's got this thing where he goes like a. That kind of thing. And also the huge stretches. That sort of stuff. I mean, when I used to see that, I thought, what the hell is that? That's a monster, you know.
Completely.
Eddie. Eruption, wasn't it? That first one you done?
God rest his soul.
Yeah, so Van Halen's at the top. Captain Sensible, always had a lot of respect for him. the Machine Gun Etiquette album, especially. Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's another guy. He's like the bluesy equivalent of Van Halen.
Yeah.
Look at Little Sister, isn't it? That's that track.
Yeah.
It's wicked, isn't it? That track.
That's a great one. I'm kind of let's see. I mean, I'm kind of a little bit more into. Listen, look. That maybe had a little lamb, but just loads of that stuff. I really like it. Of course, Steve Jones, Angus Young, Thin Lizzy, the Scott Gorham and Brian Robertson lineup, especially.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, those guys really like it. Well, you know, I don't mind a little bit of Yngwie Malmsteen. I mean, I know obviously he comes across as being like one of the world's, you know, just over the top guitarist, but he does it well, you know. So I'm okay with that. If people do it and they mean it, it's all right, you know. I mean, I wouldn't listen to it all day. I'd just listen to a couple of albums or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
I like a lot of guys. I like a lot of people.
I've got that Stevie Ray Vaughan Essentials on my iTunes, and I always listen to it when I'm at work. It's just so many good tracks, but it's like
Stevie Ray Vaughan is great.
Sort of plodding along with it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to a lot of his live stuff as well. So, I mean, I really like it, but so he just has that ferocity in him, you know. He's just got that. There's a pain inside the notes, an expression. Which I like, you know. That's that kind of thing, you know, when you can pick up a guitar and just embed yourself in it for an hour, you know, you can forget a lot of troubles.
Completely. It's
no bad thing.
No, 100%. Yeah, I mean, because what I've always found with your style of playing is obviously you know, a lot of what you're sort of classic punk guitarist, there wasn't a lot of solos going on, but you're a proper shredder, aren't you? So that's pretty cool.
See, the thing is that in the beginning there was always solos, and I can't understand really why a lot of these you know, a lot of punks just suddenly came along and started really dismissing it, because the Sex Pistols had solos, the Damned, the Clash, they all had solos. I mean, and when you go on even later than that, Dead Kennedys and Discharge, you know, they all had solos. UK Subs, they all had solos. So obviously, what it is it's come along later. You know, when someone has been inspired by punk and they think, you know, they're kind of jumping on the bandwagon, and they're kind of like copying the things that used to be said in the press, that maybe Malcolm McLaren might have encouraged, you know, rather than actually copying the Sex Pistols as such. They're more copying the press that surrounded them, and more the image that's not even true or real anyway. You know, Sid Vicious, I mean, bless him, but what a fucking idiot, you know. He was a fool. So why would you want to be like that? Because that guy's just a caricature, and, you know, he was a train wreck. He signed up to an image that wasn't real, and then followed it to his death. You know, who wants to do that?
No, that's right. So
it's the same as like when someone in the whole punk thing, when they all suddenly start talking bullshit. Oh, you can't play guitar solos. What do you mean I can't play guitar solos? Are you suddenly giving me rules? Isn't that what punk was actually about? Breaking the fucking things. You're giving me a rule. You know what? Fuck off. You know, so that my attitude has always been, anyone who's weird to me about guitar solos, fuck off. Just go and do one, you know. Go and listen to the Stereophonics.
Completely.
We love guitar solos here.
Go and listen to some shit, because that's where you belong. Do you know what I mean?
100%, mate.
What is shit in your eyes? What don't you like?
Stereophonics.
Yeah. Coldplay.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, Bruno Mars. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got you.
I get so many of them. I don't really want to think of them because I can't. Florence and the Machine.
No, that does nothing for me.
I hate it.
Literally zero.
One of my mates was the bass player.
Yeah, that was the guy when we were playing cards with, wasn't it? He was there, wasn't he? Yeah. Yeah, he was.
He doesn't do it anymore, so it doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah, all that stuff is rubbish.
Yeah. No. It's almost like there's not
much.
Yeah. The songs are written just to get to the top of the charts.
Wait a minute. Kanye West.
Yeah, a lot of people rate him, don't they?
That's got to be the peak of shite, don't I?
Some of the things he says are the peak of shite, aren't they?
Yeah. He's crazy. He's crazy. Yeah.
Screw loose. I think he thinks he's like Jesus or something, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's taking too much acid. I mean, it's just like, you just feel like saying, "Good God, you've obviously taken way too much acid. You've not come down." I mean, it was okay to say it in 1966 and 67, but surely not now.
So obviously you're heavily into music, as we know. But is there any other sort of hobby outside of music that you like to do that no one knows about, or something?
This has been part of my failing really in life. It's that I've just given maybe too much to music, and I've kind of that side of my life has suffered a little bit. Let me just get a bit more light on here. So, like for instance, I mean, I love motorcycling. I love cycling. I'm good with that. I'm a big fan of history. Yeah, I really love history. So like I'm cycling and seeing stuff, walking and seeing stuff, maybe going on a boat or whatever, seeing stuff, swimming, sailing, all that kind of stuff, anything. I'm the world's, well, not the world's biggest one. I'm just in there. I'm in the top, million of Beatles fans. Do you know what I mean? I'm just an absolute obsessive Beatles fan,
Mm-hmm.
So I find that's an interesting thing as well for me. I just get into that. So I might make little pilgrimages here and there, and go and see stuff, But yeah, I missed out on a lot of other things, which I'd like to sort of, I'm hoping that I'm not too old to actually sort of get into them now,
You must have seen a lot of places though on your tours, with all these hundreds of bands you've been in, Gizz.
I've seen a lot of places, yeah. Been all over the place, But one of the sad things about that is that you literally you just see the inside of a club,
Right.
You don't even see on the way in, and you don't see on the way out, so you don't actually know what anything looks like. You can visit it afterwards and find out, I mean, there have been some places where I've played and I've thought, this place is amazing. I need to come back here again. Whether, I mean, Los Angeles and San Francisco, to name two. When I was with the Crass guys, we played in Groningen, North Holland, and I just took a liking to that place. Had to go back, The same with Hamburg, Berlin, just constantly going back there. Munich.
I've been to Hamburg and Berlin. They are great places.
Yeah,
I love Germany.
Yeah, I do.
Have you been to the Schweinstein Castle in Fuson?
That rings a bell.
The Shitty Bang Bang Castle.
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah.
Yeah, I went there.
It looks like a fairy tale castle.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like,
I'm trying to think of the name of the king who had it built was what was he called? The Swan King. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy, but the crazy king, the autistic king who I can't remember.
Was it called? Was Ludwig II or Louis II?
Are they all called Ludwig?
Yeah, Because when you're in Fuson, obviously it's up in the mountains, the castle, but they've got the beer of him. He's got his own beer.
Yeah, well, that's another.
You sit there and drink the beer.
Let me just check this out.
And yeah, they kind of bumped him off, didn't they? It wasn't actually like a fact in history, but when you get the vibe of it,
which is Ludwig II of Bavaria.
It was.
God, you got it.
Yeah.
Your memory's really good.
Yeah. So yeah, the locals and all the kind of other royals and stuff were like, he's spending too much money on this castle. It's never going to be finished. He's like raising the taxes to build this fantasy castle, and it's epic when you go there. And it was never finished. Someone sort of killed him. It was never said who did it, or no one got punished for murder, but he was gone. And then years later they were like, he was a visionary, let's finish it off. And they finished it all off, and now it looks amazing. And then Walt Disney World, the castle, fairy castle, basically nicked from that.
Yeah,
all the turrets are the same, everything inspired by that, not nicked, inspired.
I think that he was more into peace, and like that was it. He was kind of bumped off partly because of that, and he had a big fan of music, and I think that he put a lot of money and sponsored a lot of musicians, but he was generally quite a peace-loving guy.
Yeah.
And that's
because he built a little one down below, in the valley near the lake, which we also went to, and he lived in there while the other was being built. So he kind of watched its construction. And then when I can't even remember if he even got to live in it before he.
No, I don't know.
If he never made it up there, whether it was ever livable.
But this is the history thing, you see. I mean, this is the other thing. It's one of the things that I quite like about stuff like podcasts, or when you get YouTube kind of channels that dedicate themselves to a certain thing, you can just listen to them all day long. It's great, Yeah, so I am a fan of history.
What's your favorite period of history? If you could live in any period of history, where would you go?
That's two questions.
No, it's very, very easy, really, really simple. I can actually do two questions as well if you want. Yeah. So the Cavern, 1961.
I knew you were going to say that.
Hamburg, 1961.
Right.
I'd like to be in both those places.
Yeah.
At that time.
Wow.
Would you have tried to join the Beatles? Let's be honest here. Knowing how well you play the guitar now, would you have tried to kind of get yourself in that band?
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You would have bet.
That would be outstanding, wouldn't it? If you could go back.
Now you're just going off a real tangent. But yeah.
Well, I mean, there's that.
Do that.
There's that film, isn't there, about the Beatles, and it was.
Yeah, I guess a little bit.
Doesn't he wake up and the Beatles have never existed or something?
Yeah, it gets a little bit.
Watched it.
It starts off, the theme is okay when it starts, and then it's kind of okay. We've got the idea now,
Yeah.
The Beatles have never existed, and yet you've got memories of all the songs, so you're obviously going to become really famous.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, they could write a good song, couldn't they?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, right from the very beginning, from the first album,
Yeah.
Please Please Me. It's a great album.
Yeah, what I always like about the Beatles is that every album sounds completely different, doesn't it? There's no albums which are like carbon copies of the one before.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're really a fan of a band, then the Sex Pistols had one album.
Yeah,
well, they had great B-sides. You could appreciate the B-sides as well. The Damned have had lots of good albums. So there's a band you can go towards and sort of like you've got more. Bad Religion, loads of good albums. Thin Lizzy, loads of good albums. So there are bands out there. Metallica, everything's great up until Saint Anger, and then you can take Saint Anger out.
And Lulu.
I didn't like Load.
And you know what, Lulu, I kind of appreciate it for what it is.
No, fair enough. I couldn't listen to it.
What's Lulu?
With Lou Reed.
Lou Reed.
No.
You can appreciate it because it's with him, and Lou Reed himself is a piece of art. So the fact that they've done that with him is just an artistic statement. That's what it is. And also it's to hold up to say we've done this with Lou Reed. Lou Reed's an extraordinary character. I mean, he did an album, what was it, Metal Machine Music, which was literally just two sides of feedback.
Really?
I mean, you know, let's take Revolution Number 9 and push it even further. You know, you can kind of listen to Revolution Number 9. You know, it's irritating, but you can listen to it. Whereas Metal Machine Music, fuck me, no.
It's just, yeah.
If you want to clear a party, put it on.
Yeah, there's a lot of like drone bands and stuff now, and that people literally make music just to sound like it's droning noise.
I've heard some of those 9 Inch Nails ghost EPs and albums, and some of them are really like slow. I wouldn't say that's droning. I wouldn't say that's droning noise, but they're very different. And
you know, the slowest piece of music, I believe, didn't it begin in the 17th century, and it's still being played now, and it's going to go on for another 300 or 400 years.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Wowza, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
The slowest piece of music ever. I might be wrong. It might have started in the 18th century.
Yeah.
But it's going to be going on for about another 200 or 300 years.
God, that's insane, isn't it?
You don't hear anything for like a year or two.
And then there'll be like one note or something.
And then one note comes, yeah. It's great.
I might grab hold of the CD and put it on in my car.
Yeah, just wait.
I actually think
there. See how many years you last.
Stick it in an app, speed the fucker up. I mean, we used to do that, you know, back in the day with all the hardcore bands. When we used to have like tape to tape, we used to like get a tape of like the fastest hardcore band, put it on double speed, and then hear it even faster, you know.
Yeah.
And then try and play it like that. Yeah.
Nice. Why not, eh? So listen. What we always like to ask is, well, usually it's our first question, but it's been relegated right down the list. But what was the first gig you went to that, like, you remember paying to go to see a band, and you know?
My parents took me to a gig. Does that count?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because there's that, and there's the first gig that I paid to. So
give us both.
Yeah,
we love it.
My parents took me to see Status Quo.
Hey, nice.
Which I still think are great.
Oh, mate, I've seen them countless times.
Bernard was saying about his love for the Quo, wasn't he?
Yeah,
when he was on here.
Yeah.
And so that was Manchester Apollo, and I think it was 1977.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my parents were pretty good for that. They used to take me to like their social club, you know, like a working man's club, and there'd be bands playing and stuff, you know, just cover bands, you know.
Yeah.
But it was the 70s, and so it was always, you know, quite good fun seeing all these bands wearing flares and, you know, playing their Gibson Les Pauls and like just singing these songs that were in the charts at the time, you know.
So that was like a working man's club. Was that in Manchester, did you say?
Yeah. Well, Oldham, well, Chadderton, to be really specific. There was a club that they used to take me to, and it was called the Cot Club, C-O-T. But you know that the accent, the very strong Oldham accent, when they say cot, they don't say cot, they say cot. We're going to Cot Club, which of course to me sounds like they're saying cock. So we're going to Cot, and I just remember as a kid just laughing whenever they used to say it. We're going to Cot, and yeah. So that was the club, and there was a club that was a big Cot Club, and another one that was a little Cot Club. Going to big Cot, little Cot. So hours of fun. And then,
but depending how good you were, you played in the little cock or the big cock.
Yeah, if you was shit, you played in the little cock club. And but then we moved to Peterborough, which was like, you know, a life-changing event. Yeah, it was really upsetting at the time, but I'm glad it happened. But I remember at the time having to sacrifice so many things because we were moving house. You've got to throw this away, you've got to throw that away. And of course, leaving my brothers, which, you know, they stayed there. And my eldest brother was kind of like my mentor, and he was the one that initially showed me how to play the guitar. So leaving him was, it was awful. But then set up base in Peterborough, and some of the first people that I met over there were punks, which were kind of like 2-3 years older than me, but we shared the fact that I'd already had some punk stuff in my record collection, because if you live in Manchester, you're able to see this program called So It Goes, which was on in 1976 and 77, which was Tony Wilson, and he brought the Sex Pistols onto that, and many other punk bands, Penetration, Susie and the Banshees, Buzzcocks, and so on. So you was introduced to it. So, you'd see these bands, and then you'd go to the record shops. There was like Oldham, small town, still had like 8 record shops. It was great. So you could go and, get whatever records. So I had a bit of a punk record collection, stuff like Stranglers, Sex Pistols, Buzzcocks, stuff like that. Didn't really get into the Damned until later. I think you had to be a little bit older to get into that. When you're 10, 11 years old, you don't access the more underground stuff straight away. And then my friends introduced me to the sound of the Clash. So, that was, the first songs that I was hearing then were things like Complete Control and White Riot. And they were going on tour and touring the Give 'Em Enough Rope tour. Give 'Em Enough Rope album, second album, which I think is a fantastic album. And they were playing in Peterborough. So I was 12 years old. So I went with my friends, and that was the first gig that I paid to get in. And what a great gig.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's
You're only 12 as well.
Yeah.
Amazing, mate. I mean, I must have seen some social club, definitely some rock bands when I was that age with my parents, but I would never have gone to a gig on my own with a load of pals at 12.
When I was 12, I only listened to Michael Jackson. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
And Bros.
There is something wrong with that.
You didn't need to add that, did you?
But then I discovered Guns N' Roses.
I'm trying to play Can't Stop Till You Get Enough. Yeah, nothing wrong with a bit of Michael Jackson.
No, definitely not.
He did some good tunes. He did some great tunes.
He did.
He literally just ruled the airwaves and ruled the TV when I was a child.
Yeah.
This literally was just Michael Jackson live, wasn't it? Jackson, George Michael. There it goes.
I can't play it straight off. I haven't played it for years.
Is that the one that Van Halen wrote, didn't he? Eddie Van Halen?
Yeah.
He wrote that guitar piece.
Yeah.
It's nearly there.
Yeah, it'd take a couple of minutes and I'd pick it all back up again.
So let's talk about Janus Stark for a while. How did that all come about? Was that your band you put together? Was that your idea?
Yeah,
How did you meet the other guys?
Janus Stark really began in it was the band that came from the English Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So back in 95, 96, me and Pinch, it's his band, and we were kind of like the sole surviving members of the 84 lineup of the English Dogs.
And we had something to do with the English Dogs. Am I right? No. Was he not? No.
And yeah, we got a bassist called Shop, and we formed a 3-piece. And the three of us, that we'd kind of already done like a lineup of the English Dogs that wasn't too successful with the earlier guys, and they realized that they weren't really into it. So we kind of, me and Pinch, we got this bass player, became a 3-piece, and then we wrote an album called All the World's a Rage, and we toured this. I mean, we did a lot of touring in Germany because we were on a German label. But we toured everywhere, and I was very proud of the album because most of it was like a return to form. It was, you know, like a punk metal kind of hardcore influence. By default, I became the singer of the band. We did have a singer, but he wasn't turning up, you know, to rehearsals and things. So he wasn't turning up to the recording sessions. So we decided, you know, well, you know, you're going to have to go, you know, and because I was writing the songs anyway. Well, I was writing the bulk of the songs. So, you know, at least 70% of everything. So, I became the singer and, you know, guitarist. And so we went out, and then the whole Prodigy thing happened. And with that, it was like, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with the English Dogs? I mean, we had this, there was something that happened during the English Dogs that I wasn't pleased about. When we was recording the album, I was really sort of like striving for a guitar heavy mix, you know. So I wanted loud guitars. We had Andy Sneap. It was his first sort of mix production. We were the first band that he was producing, and I guess I was kind of in my head thinking, I wanted the guitars even louder, but he was saying, no, Pinch is a really good drummer, so we've got to get the drums up as well. And this is before the days of Pro Tools, you know, it's still using ADAT. So, you know, you're limited with what you can do, but Andy did a brilliant job. He did a really great job. And then the record label, they turned around and said, oh, you know, what's this? It sounds like Anthrax, and they said, no, you're gonna have to get it remixed. You know, we're not going to be able to work with this. You know, it's not punk. And I went on holiday with me and the wife, and when I came back, Pinch had gone into the studio and remixed it, and just basically took half of the guitars out and turned it down. And that just really upset me because, you know, I'd written this bloody album, or the lion's share of it, and I had a vision in my head of what I wanted it to sound like. And it had been diluted. You know, the guitars were very, very, it was all of a sudden, all it was about was this, just mainly drums, you know. And I kind of thought, it just really upset me. And I just couldn't feel the hunger for even wanting to tour the album anymore, you know.
Yeah.
And so then the whole Prodigy thing happened. And with that came some self-confidence that I hadn't had previously, you know. And so when we were looking at the English Dogs, what are we going to do? I just kept on having it in my head, you know, I think it's time for a new direction. I think that we're going to have to sort of reinvent it and go for a name change, because I've written a whole bunch of new songs here, and, you know, and I kind of don't know if I want them coming out under the English Dogs name. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the English Dogs and I love what we did. I love everything that we did, you know, in all the different lineups. I love all of it. But I was really feeling hurt by what happened. And I went, you know, as I said, I was in the Prodigy, so I had this new confidence. So I decided, no, we're going to change the name, and we're going to have a whole bunch of new songs. And that gave birth to Janus Stark. Right. So Janus Stark really began in '96.
Where does that name come from, Janus Stark?
It's a comic character.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's in a comic called Valiant. Just a comic that I used to read as a kid. But, you know, when you're thinking of band names, you know, you've got lists of loads and loads of suggestions.
Yeah.
And you're just looking at all of these names. And I remember like showing this list to the guys in the Prodigy, and it's quite obvious that they picked it because it said anus in it. And I kind of thought, yeah, why not? You know, that's all right. You know, it's going to get some attention. And it kind of does. Janus Star with a misspelling, or maybe Janus Stark, French, Janus. But yeah, it's it's a comic.
So weird because I never thought of it, the anus bit at all, until you just said that.
Oh, I did.
Anus.
No, I just didn't.
I'm always constantly
thought of
going
it
up for the t-shirts and just doing all this stuff.
Janus Stark.
Never thought of that. I don't know why. It's there in black and white, isn't it? But
It's a great name. It's a great.
If you had tunnel vision, it'd be perfect.
And that's the t-shirt to the new album there, is it?
It is, yeah. There's the new album cover right there.
You got my address, didn't you? Okay. Actually, I've got to mention this because we are facing the crowd.
Yeah.
That's all we are, faces in the crowd. And I actually saw you with the Prodigy at Reading 97. And when you came out...
96?
Reading 96, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reading 96. And when you came out...
It's the loudest power chord in history.
Keith was in this, like, big hamster wheel thing when he came out on the stage. You know, like the people in the hamster wheels?
Yeah.
The inflatable Zorb thing. When he come out on stage and was going across the stage in that. Do you remember that thing?
I can't remember that, but...
Because I was standing in the field stoned, like, what is he doing? What is that? I've never seen one of them before, because I know you can play football in them now and everything, can't you?
I was getting over something that happened that day. There was... I had this Marshall amp. I'm just looking around to see if it's here, but it's not. It's not here. I had this... It was this 3-channel Marshall amp that I used to use in the Prodigy. I've still got it now. And in the back of the amp, there was like a little kind of screw. You could put in a flat head screwdriver and you could turn it, and that would be a volume control. And what it was controlling was like a speaker simulator. So if you wanted to, you could take a feed from that and put it direct into the PA, not have any mics. Now, of course, it's not going to sound as good as if you put on a Shure SM57 on a 4x12 cab. But the guys in the sound guy, Nick Warren, great guy, love him to bits. He always turned the guitars up. He decided it was a really good idea to take a feed out of this and not have a mic on stage because there's a lot of noise on stage. So I said, yeah, that's okay. But when we were playing Their Law, and if you can remember that, basically the way how it used to be in the Prodigy, which was great, a really good dynamic setup, members would come on, play to a song, and then they'd come off, and then there'd be the next song. Sometimes a member would stay on for 2 songs, or maybe even 3, but generally they'd go on and come off.
Yeah.
And it was like, this sort of like, almost a conveyor belt of different sort of acts. Do you know what I mean? Swinging doors of different acts. Mm-hmm. And it made for a really dynamic gig. I think that we were best 96 and 97 because we had that routine, and so we were doing Their Law, and during that song there's me, Maxim and Keith, and I couldn't hear any of the guitar. Now bear in mind, you're playing Reading Festival, it's not right. You should be able to hear your guitar, Yeah, it's not in the monitors. I'm turning to the monitor man, I'm saying, can't hear the fucking guitar, what's going on? Turn it up. And he's looking at me and he's saying, oh, good, it turned up, it's all the way up. What am I supposed to do? And I was like, this is wrong. So then when I came off from Their Law, like I was explaining, we went on and we came off, came off. I looked round at the back of the Marshall amp and I thought, it's got something to do with that screw hole. So I put my finger in and I turned it up full. And then the next song I was due to go on and play was Firestarter. So you've got this atmospheric intro, these horns blowing, this reverb going all over the place with these high pitched sort of these kind of keyboards, high pitched droning note going on. Keith is dragging this mic stand across the stage. He's looking at me. He's like, are you ready, Gizz? Are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? And then next minute, is the idea was, we used to do the intro, and then I'd do this crashing power chord, a bit like Holidays in the Sun, That was the loudest power chord in history. That monitor man wasn't lying. He had turned everything up full because there was no signal. Now there was nothing but signal.
Oh my God.
My finger had cranked that fucker right up. It was bless Keith. He had his Mohicans were like this, He was running towards me going, turn it down! And oh God. Well, I didn't get fired that night, but the monitor man did.
It was an outstanding set. I remember being truly amazed by it. I mean, I was only, 17 at the time. I think it was it was such a good lineup, that festival. We went to 95, 96 and 97 in a row.
Good.
And it was just like 3 Readings in a row.
Yeah.
I don't regret a second of it. They're like one of the best memories I've ever had.
That's what it's about, isn't it?
Those festivals, We went back in 2007 because I think it was Metallica headlining. I think you was there. You played the year Rage were there, weren't you? Because we saw Rage the night before. Or no, Rage were on after you, weren't they? Oh God, I can't remember. But yeah, saw everyone.
No, I mean, Reading Festival, when we played there in '96,
But there you go.
Yeah, because it did V the same sort of era, didn't they?
Yeah.
Fat of the Land at V.
Yeah. There's 2 V festivals that we played. The first one was the best.
Awesome. What about the you played Red Square in Moscow, didn't you? Russia. There was like 200,000 people there, wasn't there? Any memories of that?
250,000 people. Mainly, it was very dark. And the thing is, when you play in the Red Square, and it's that dark, you can't really. The perspective of how many people there is difficult to grasp. It's kind of see a sea of people with lights going all over the place. It was very, it was a bit surreal because we were kind of getting bullied by these Russian police who were like insisting, stay between the lines, or you're going to see some action. They were all carrying guns and. They weren't afraid to show that they had some authority over you, even though you was headlining this gig. And then, of course, we're going on. When I see the footage now, I can see like that it must have been cold because I can see my breath, So, but I can't remember it because at the time it was just so, overwhelming, mind-blowing that it was... It was just, as I said, it was like a sea of, there was so much to look at. It was, how am I taking all this in? And of course, I'm going to go on and just really leap around like fuck, do you know what I mean?
Rip it up.
Yeah, well, I saw it recently and I've really enjoyed watching it. I thought Keith was amazing. It was great to watch, but it was an experience, and I have to say that the Moscow police were very unfriendly.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Like, you read about it a lot, don't you? Bands that, like, I think Pantera played there, didn't they? And they got a lot of grief. Like,
the Monsters in Moscow, wasn't it?
Yeah. The police were like, they were watching like the police just going through the crowd, just hitting people for like.
It's ridiculous. I mean, we even had trouble at the after show party that was supposed to be ours.
God.
And we're getting grief from the police. The police are telling us where to stand all the time. It's like, it's our party,
Yeah.
You can't go over there. What do you mean I can't go over there? If you go over there, we're all going to come after you, It's, yeah, honestly, it was, that made it a bit of a, there's a story to it. I'll let you know. My book will be being written next year. So you'll read the other stories in my book. There are a few others about that gig.
Nice.
Saving them. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it all away now.
No. But you must have some amazing memories of like of that period in your life, and you know,
I've got amazing memories about every period of my life.
Well, of course, yeah.
So many things that have happened.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, you've been in every band that's existed, really, but pretty much.
I mean, I'm very grateful for all the bands that I've been in, but maybe I've been in too many, you know. But I am very grateful for every one of them that I have been in, you know. It's
amazing.
It's been a journey.
Which band is the funniest to be with on the road?
You know, I was in a band. I had a band called The More I See, and it came because I kind of finished Janus Stark in 2002, and then we had this metal band called The More I See, and that ran for a few years. But I would say that the period between 2002 and 2005 was the funniest and most ridiculous. You know, that was it was just ridiculous. It was great. It was great. It just a never-ending. It was just a comedy show, mainly, you know, Confessions of a Window Cleaner, but it was absolutely hilarious. You know, one thing after another, gig after gig, day after day. The characters in that band were just, you know, they were really good fun. But it was doomed as well. It wasn't going to last because with those kind of characters, you do get this volatile sort of situation. Eventually, it's going to implode, and it did, you know. But it was great whilst it lasted.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame.
Can I ask you a random one? We always ask. You've only got one song to send into the universe, into space. Only one.
Yeah.
Any other life forms may hear this song. It's our only song we're going to send up there.
Yeah.
What's it going to be?
It's got to be Every Little Thing Counts. It's the most important song I've ever written, you know, so there's no doubt about it. That song is, for me, it's the most important song that I've ever written, you know. I co-wrote it, you know. Pinch wrote some of it as well, so it was kind of a little bit English Dogs, a little bit, you know. I mean, you know, I love Pinch, you know. He's one of the greatest musicians, one of the greatest drummers I've ever played with, and I'm sort of like sorry that we're not still playing together, but we're not, you know. But we've always got that, you know.
Yeah.
And that song always, it keeps, whenever we play it, it always, you know, really works for everything. Every gig that we play, the audience goes up, you know.
It was in a couple of films, wasn't it?
Mm. Yeah. I mean, obviously the new album, I'm totally, you know, I really worked for that album. Well, basically when we reformed, 2018, 2017, 2018. We reformed, and then the decision was made, this feels great, so let's do something. Let's write a new album. And that's when we did Angel in the Flames, which I think was I was very proud of, you know, and I think for that album we got a great combination of, you know, good influences: Dag Nasty, The Ruts, UK Subs, Sex Pistols, Thin Lizzy, Van Halen, you know, Living End, bit of Stray Cats here and there, bit of Motorhead, bit of Damned, you know. It was like a very good Janus Stark album, you know. And but then along came COVID and murdered it, because we did a tour. We supported the Wild Hearts, which was a great tour. You know, we did 10 shows with the Wild Hearts, every show 1,000 people. It was fantastic. And all the Wild Hearts fans loved us. We couldn't have asked for a better tour.
No.
So it was the best possible tour we could have. Then the album came out, so we started touring ourselves, headlining, and then March the 14th, COVID killed all that, you know. So that album never got the recognition that it deserved. So whilst the lockdowns were going on, that's when I wrote the new album, Face Your Biggest Fear. Face Your Biggest Fear comes from a different angle, because during that whole lockdown period, I found myself, you know, in a period of discovery of music. So I discovered, to begin with, so I went from Rocket from the Crypt, and then from them I found John Reese, the singer, had these bands, the Night Marchers, the Sultans, Hot Snakes, and many more. So I was listening to him and all of his bands, and then that took me on another journey: garage rock, garage punk, proto punk, proto heavy rock, proto heavy metal. I was listening to the roots of everything. I was listening to bands that did one demo in 1964 that would blow the fucking socks off Motorhead, because the stuff out there, you can't believe that what people have done. They've done this one single and it's just never been discovered. Someone's died or something. I mean, for God's sake, MC5, what a band. You can watch some of the live footage now of MC5. It's still amazing. Still, and this is 1967, and these guys are more powerful than so many of supposedly powerful bands.
Yeah.
So I was really going down that route. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the Beatles, Twist and Shout, that's garage rock. That is the sound of garage rock. It's a great sound. The sound of dirty power, rock and roll with dirt, with power, with venom, with passion behind it, explosion, with that amphetamine kind of energy, and so I was really getting into that. So I was writing the album. At the same time, just before all that had happened, my parents died. Both of them had died like very close to each other. My dad in November, my mum in January.
Oh, no.
So I was affected by that, but then COVID came along. So it was death of parents, then COVID.
Christ.
So it was a hell of an experience.
Yeah.
So, literally it went like this: Wild Hearts, death of parents, COVID. It was like up, fucking down.
Jesus.
And then, getting through this, swamp of COVID and writing the album. And I really feel that the album was, this one after another. Each song was kind of, right in itself, and it was just really coming together. I mean, I'll always love that song, though. Every little thing counts. But God, I could point to any song off the new album and say, yeah, it could be that one.
Yeah, sure. Oh, it's a great album. There's so much going on there. But I've got I'm in a little WhatsApp group with a few of my mates who are like heavily into music and always have been, and but they asked me to ask, well, one of them in particular, my friend Mike, he wanted me to ask you a particular question. And that was, he wants to know how many guitar overdubs are there on the last chorus of Barriers, because it sounds like
there's at least 8.
Oh, at least 8.
Yeah, I mean, because we followed the idea that we did with Barriers, and I've done it since then on a few different recordings. I didn't do it so much on the new album. We did it on the last song, Shoot Me If I Can't Have the Right. Some tracks. So you might have like 3 tracks of guitar or 2. And then when it goes into the next section, we would change the guitar and probably the amp as well. We always kept the same speaker.
Yeah.
But then we kept on doing it like this. So we kept stepping and stepping. So we'd go from guitar section A, where you'd have two guitars. Section B, you might have 2 or 3 totally different guitars. Then section C, again, it changes. Then you'd go back to A, the second, you'd repeat section A, and but then it'd be different again, and we'd keep doing it. But every time we did it, we'd let one thing stay there. So we'd kind of like go from 2 to 3 to 4 to this. It was like a trumpet, like that. And by the end of the song, yeah, we had 8 guitars by the end of the song, and we did it. We did it on the Angel in the Flames album. We did it on that as well. We did it on a song called Dead Dead. We did exactly the same, production and arrangement idea. And that, again, that song, it just builds and just keeps building. And then we did it on the latest one, Shoot Me If I Can't Have the Right, where that song it's written in that way where there's no chorus.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't repeat. It just goes from section A, B, C, D, kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody, I guess. You know, it just keeps going from one thing to the next, and again, constantly changing guitar sounds.
Yeah. That's a standout song for me, actually. I've got to say, it's the last track on the album, right?
Yeah. Well, what we did with that, me and Andy Hawkins, the producer, what we did was we got all the guitars that I'd taken into the studio. So I took about 20 guitars, and we basically looked at the guitars and we paired them. So we listened to every one of them. We listened to them all with the same guitar sound, which is kind of like a Marshall JVM 410. So we listened to every single guitar through that same sound. And then we matched them up. That one goes with that. That one goes with that. You know, so they were paired. And we basically go through pairs throughout the entire song. We go through pairs. And occasionally we pull out. I've got one particular beauty. This one. This has played on everything that I've ever done since I got the guitar I think I got it in 97. So it's this. It's nicknamed Bluey.
Nice.
Doesn't take a genius to figure out why all that.
And badass.
So it's an Ibanez guitar, and it's just got such a sound. Let me just see if I can just give it a little bit of a crunch. And, I don't even know if it's in tune.
Crunchy.
Probably hasn't come out of its case since the recording studio. Yeah, it sounds good.
It does.
Now that's just, you know, I mean, let's say we need a point of comparison here, don't we? Okay, so if you compare that to this one, it's in a different tuning, I think. It might not be fair. So let's have a look. It's not got the same. It hasn't got the same clarity or anything, has it? It sounds woolly compared to that one. It's blooming. Yeah, so it's not as good. So Bluey played on everything, you know. So.
Bluey's the one.
It's the greatest guitar, and it's not allowed on the road. So
it's not allowed on the road.
No, so don't want anyone to have any high hopes.
No, fair play, mate. Thing is, it only takes one careless person, and the neck's snapped, right?
Oh, it's, you know, yeah.
Or it goes walkies.
Or it goes walkies. I mean,
that happened to you. He was burgled, and they took his fucking guitars. Actually, stolen from his house.
Yeah.
You got one of them back. Someone's tried to sell it on eBay.
Yeah. Oh, mine's a Bluey as well.
Wonder if that's
get it. Go and get your one.
Yeah.
He's going to get his one now.
Go for it.
Let's turn it on.
Play it. No.
Play it.
Right. Okay. So, do you want to see my Bluey?
Yeah.
Mine's called Bluey as well.
It's a beaut.
There's a few of them around, and it is blue. There's a
very blue.
So come on then, can you play me Hit the Lights? So
I can't do that. I'm not going to embarrass myself, but this is only an epiphone.
You can do Don't Cry by Guns N' Roses.
But no, that's my baby. So yeah.
Give us Earth Song.
I didn't have this.
You grew up with Jacko. Come on, Sam.
I didn't have this for 2 years because it got stolen out of my flat. And then one of my friends said, "Oh, I've seen I've seen a guitar that looks a bit like yours on eBay. And I was like, really? So you sent me the link. And obviously all these knobs and the EMGs I put in myself. And I was like, well, that is my guitar.
That's your bloody guitar.
It started the auction at 99p.
Well, at least you've got it back.
Yeah. I mean, the strings were rusty. It was just sat under someone's bed in Kent. They obviously sitting on it before they sold it.
What part of Kent?
Oh, I don't know.
Did you buy it back then, or did you actually call the police?
No, the police. I told the police, and they went to this house in Kent the next day and kicked the door in first thing in the morning. And they found it under the bed.
Guitar's got history.
It has got history. Yeah.
Guitar's definitely got history. This is my latest choice on the road. So this is what I've been using because this is just such a great Strat, and I've got one of these Vega Trems which are just absolutely amazing. They really flutter nice. So I'll give you a little bit. Still stays in tune.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I won't be playing mine on air.
Yeah, we should have been more tech savvy and stream this live, shouldn't we?
Wowza.
Wicked.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
Absolutely.
I read you're a big fan of Randy Rhoads as well.
Yeah, well, I love all of them. You know, they're all great, aren't they? You know, they've all done their bit.
Yeah.
You know, so you just take them all in because
like appreciation.
All, yeah, I mean, crikey, I mean, Randy Rhoads. Hell, man, Jesus, it's so great. You know, there's something about him. You know, I mean, Mother Revelation Earth is just so damn fine, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
great. Yeah, I mean, everything they ever did was really amazing. But Mother Revelation Earth, that lovely windy. There's a great windy lick in there. It's certainly one that takes you a bit longer to work out. You know, I can't remember exactly what it is. You know. I don't know what it is, but I know it's got some flapping around, you know. So, but I know it took a little while to work it out.
Just such a unique guitarist, but you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pleased that Zach Wilde took over because I think he was a good man for the job as well. You know, I'm a big Zach Wilde fan. So.
But I know I'm actually like quite a fan of the what is it? That one.
Yes.
My guitar's going out of tune a bit, but I mean, you can...
Bark at the Moon.
Sounds amazing.
Moon.
Yeah.
I remember. Oh. That's it.
It's at that point I raise my fist. Yes.
Yeah, but that ending of that one, also, what is it? That... That's one of the best licks ever, that. And then that one, I don't know what the lick is, but it sounds to me like that, something like that. But I love that lick. I'm sure I've stolen it many times.
So how did the whole Prodigy gig come about anyway? Because they're not a band that you really associate with electric guitar, right?
No, because I'm not a fan of dance music at all.
Right.
I don't mind a bit of funk, but I don't like dance music. But the Prodigy are different, aren't they? You know.
Yeah.
They're totally head and shoulders above all of that genre. You know? And I'm friends with a guy called Mora. He's a journalist, and he was writing.
Kerrang! It was Kerrang, wasn't he?
That's right. Yeah.
So he's always
reviews
and gigs and stuff. I used to buy Kerrang every week, obviously.
Oh yeah, God yeah.
Yeah. So he was writing for Kerrang, and so he was a friend of mine. So he was a fan of the English Dogs. So he got me in via that, you know. So yeah, he phoned me up and said, I know a really big band that are looking for a guitarist. Would you be interested? It's like, God, yeah, I've been spending all my life struggling. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a break, you know. Who wouldn't? I mean, there's so many people out there in every town. And this is what the song Shoot Me Has to, If I Don't Have the Right, is actually about. That in every town that there's people that are kind of, you know, they're proactive people. You know, they're trying to make something. They're movers, shakers, you know, whatever you want to call them. They're people that are trying to make something happening, you know.
Yeah, we know people like this.
Yeah.
A lot of them but you are yourselves. You're doing something.
Yeah, we're doing something.
But there's people that, you know, they're in bands. They're trying to get the band to do something. They're organising their own bloody gigs. You know, they're doing everything. You know what it's like when you're in, you know, you two probably in bands yourselves now. You're probably organising gigs as well. I mean, good God, is there anything else that you? He's
in the band.
Are you making the tea? You know what I mean? It's just like, how many more jobs? How, you know, this is like, you know, you end up doing everything, don't you? You know, and you know what it's like. You know, you're making the flyers, you're sorting the T-shirts out, you're going out, you're handing flyers out everywhere, which, I mean, you got to be honest, it doesn't feel great, does it? You know, you walk into a room of like 300 people and you've got to hand them all a flyer. It feels a bit shit, you know, but sometimes you just have to do it. You know, when we had that 100 Club gig come up recently, the launch album, so I went down to London and just parked myself outside the Astoria. The Descendants were playing, so 500 people coming out. Every one of them is going to get a flyer. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I do it myself. You know, I'm not saying I like doing it, but someone's got to do it.
Yeah, completely.
So, like, and every town's got those people, and I feel sorry for those people. I can relate to it. You know, so basically, all those people are all, you know, God, they're all champions. You know, all of them. You know,
a lot of talented people looking for a lucky break, and what you're saying,
yeah.
You got it, and you know, you grabbed it with both hands, didn't you?
I got a break, you know. Yeah. So I got that. I mean, a lot of people think I didn't deserve it, or I shouldn't have got it. I wasn't necessarily the right person for the job. It doesn't matter. I got it. And, you know, and when I was on those stages, man, I leapt as high as I could, you know, and I banged my head so hard it could, you know, neck wanted to snap, you know. I did what I could, you know.
Gave it everything, didn't you?
Yeah, I did what I could, you know. Recognise it? then there's the the loudest power chord ever. Yeah, if you watch any of the old stuff, that's what it is.
Amazing.
Fucking instigator.
I mean, for a laugh, I've done that with Janus Stark. We have done it just for a laugh, you know.
What was Keith like as a character? You must miss him, man. You know.
Yeah, you want to bet. I mean, he died way too early. Well, he was a person who did it. You know, he meant it, and yeah, he had no fear. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He had no fear of becoming, you know, that frontman character. The crazy, the look, everything. Just the passion and the way he delivered his. Well, you should try. He definitely meant it, didn't he?
If you get the chance, just go and watch some of that footage from 96, 97.
I actually did last night, yeah. But that's when I watched a bit of the Moscow one.
Some of the 98 stuff as well. But, you know, I think that by the time 98, 99, I think it's starting to lose it. What we had at the beginning was definitely, that was it. You know, that really was it. And if you're able to look at some of the footage, and you could slow it down, and you will just see how much is going on in 10 seconds. It's just unbelievable how much is going on, how many face expressions Keith pulls. It's supernatural. Honestly.
Yeah, it's like the first time you see that Firestarter video, you're just like, oh, mate, this is...
Yeah, but you watch it live. It's supernatural. He's got more face expressions in 10 seconds than, you know, it looks like it's photoshopped. It's absolutely supernatural.
My favourite was always Breathe when that album came out. I absolutely loved it.
This guitar's too out of tune. I can't do it justice.
You can tell that was it, though.
Yeah, you could totally.
Yeah, I was so lucky I got to see him at Reading 96.
Where's Bluey?
In the prime.
Where's Bluey when I need it? Put it back in the case, you see.
Breathe with me.
In time.
Psycho. So good, isn't it?
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
That is awesome.
Thank you for giving us some
We've never
awesome guitaring at the end.
We've never had someone play like that, which is.
We never had someone come and play Firestarter and Breathe,
No.
and we will never forget it.
You can say,
Well, listen, it's been amazing having you on. I mean, what can I say? You've played guitars for us all night.
You've entertained us as well as spoken to.
Really have. It's been amazing. It's so good to meet you. It really was.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So thanks. Thanks.
I'd love to say the same, but I can't.
Then don't.
Yeah, we'll get a gig sorted or something. That'd be amazing.
Don't just say it, do it.
Yeah, I'm up for it, mate. I'm up for it.
He's on it. Hobo Band are on it.
I'll send you some clips of us, see what you think.
Okay. Hope you're playing Bluey.
Yeah, well, always.
Bluey's always on that stage. Bluey on stage, Bluey in his pocket.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
All right, lads.
All right, mate.
Thanks so much for coming
See you
on.
later.
Cheers.
We'll speak to you soon.
Top man.
Bye.
Cheers, buddy. Bye.